Welcome to the circus. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Cocktails in the War Room. I am Mistress Carrie, and this is our special election night show, show number 103. Wednesday, get off the table. Come on, get. Thank you guys for joining me. I know that tonight is crazy and stressful, and it's been insane the last few weeks. And Wednesday, where are you going? I don't even think she wants to deal with it tonight. She took her favorite toy and scooted her little furry ass into the other room. Mark says, aren't you a sight for sore eyes? Thank you very much. Welcome to the machine, says David. Hey now. Hey, Vito. Hey, everyone. Hey, Carrie. What's up, Kim? What's up, David? Lisa, Paula. Thank you guys for joining me. I know it's going to be a crazy night. And so I thought, especially tonight, I mean, we usually get together every Tuesday night at 8:30, and I thought it was especially important to do it tonight. I hope you guys all voted. I voted early to avoid the polls and the craziness today, and I'm glad that I did that, not only for COVID security reasons, but also I just didn't want to deal with the crazy crowds and the stress and the picketers and the screaming. Thank you, Penny. She said, my hair looks amazing. You can thank Linda at the Main Hair Lounge. She's the one that takes care of my hair, and she is also sponsoring this week's episode of Cocktails in the War Room, along with, there we go, Latini Creative Solutions. And I want to thank both of them for sponsoring this week's episode. LatiniCreative.com is where you can get all of your graphic design needs. And if you have hair needs, mainhairlounge.com is where you can find them. Not only are they sponsoring Cocktails in the War Room this week, but they are also sponsoring this week's episode of the Mistress Carrie podcast, which we will talk about. Your intro lasts longer than, well, you know, Jonathan. I like the intro. It gives me a chance to double check all of the technical stuff in here, make sure that my microphone is working good, my headphones are working good. Sometimes until you go live, you don't know if you're definitely working and online right. So I like having the extra long intro there. Plus, it gives you guys a chance that if you guys are a little bit late getting in, it gives you like that extra minute or so. All right. I'm going full Fernandez tonight, guys. It's too stressful. So cheers to you guys just for hanging on and for joining me in the War Room for this special election night episode. So cheers. We're all going to need a cocktail tonight. So, okay. I'm not going to debate politics. You guys know that's a rule of the War Room that we don't get into political debates here. I did want to point out a couple observations though. A couple things that I think you guys can all agree on, regardless of who you voted for. Number one, I think the United States in this very moment right now is the most united that it's been in years. And I'll explain why. The argument is that we're the most divided that we've been. But I mean, in this very moment right now, we are all feeling the exact same feeling. On one side of the aisle, they are deathly afraid the other side is going to win. And on the other side of the aisle, they're deathly afraid the other side is going to win. So right now, unless you voted for Kanye, you're scared to death, which means that the entire country is united in fear right now. That's observation number one. Observation number two is that fear and the fact that the election is going to be as close as it is should tell us something. It should tell us that whatever candidate we did vote for, that candidate is scaring the shit out of exactly half of the country. And both candidates, I mean, there were years when elections were won with 80% of the vote, that the country overwhelmingly supported the candidate. And so I feel like regardless of who we voted for and regardless of the outcome of the election, whoever you voted for, they're not doing a good enough job of taking care of the entire country. And we know this, but I think whoever is on the winning side of tonight's election they need to be held accountable for the fact that they represent all of us, because it's obvious by how close this election is and how contentious it all is that either side, if we're going to get out of this thing alive, right, as Americans, then maybe you should start thinking about why it is that the candidate you support scares the shit out of the people on the other side. Because there's people on both sides that are freaking out right now, and we're all unified in that fear. And we're all scared to death with the uncertainty of what world we're going to wake up to tomorrow and what world we're going to be tackling in January. I had somebody comment last week when I voted and put up a picture on my Instagram with the mask on with the I voted sticker. And they said, "Are you red or blue?" And somebody just got me. It says, "Carrie for president, make America purple again." I think my hair is the best representation of what the United States needs to be right now, because too often are we asked to choose, are we the brightest of blue or the reddest of red? And maybe if we combine into a nice, beautiful shade of purple, we'll figure it the fuck out, because we obviously haven't done that. So I just wanted to point that out, that right now everyone has got their eye on a television or is refreshing their Twitter feed or whatever it is that they're doing while you guys are hanging out drinking with me here in the war room trying to de-stress. And I think we all need to find a little bit more empathy and a little bit more understanding to figure out why it is that whatever candidate you love is literally scaring the hell out of 50% of the country. And we better figure out how to all come together, because we're being torn apart at the seams right now. I'm not going to speak for anybody else, but being the family member of someone that is deployed right now representing the country, it doesn't matter who the president is for our troops, because they're going to be in the military tomorrow, and they'll be in the military in January. And there's going to be people that retire out of the military during this administration and people that enlist in the military in the new administration, whatever it is. And we just need to maybe think a little bit more about what it takes to put up your right hand and enlist and take that oath when you're not even sure who your president's going to be and who your commander in chief is going to be year to year. And we just need to figure it out. Mark asked how the hubby is. He's good. I'm looking at, I have multiple clocks in the war room, as you know, and I have a clock set to his time zone, and I'm pretty sure he's still in bed right now, hopefully. So David says Wednesday for president. Hell yeah. So anyway, we're all in this together. Rosie says prayers for law enforcement tonight. I really, really, really hope that the election and the results are something that we can all be confident in, that they're real, that nobody got in the way or nothing got in the way of Americans' votes being counted. And whatever the results are, as long as it was a truthful and fair election, then our democracy is okay. As soon as we all start questioning whether or not the vote that we put in the ballot box was counted, we're in real trouble. And so I'm really hoping that we can all, whether we agree with the decision or not, whether we agree with the outcome of the election or not, I hope that we can all have the confidence that it is a real outcome and that we know that it's truthful, because we just don't need that. Like Eric said, I'm going to work no matter who wins. We all have to get up tomorrow. We all still have the same stresses. We all are still worried about money. We're all still worried about our health and our family and our kids and, our homes and our future. We all have the same worries. It's just that everybody is united in absolute fear and terror and worry right now. And it's really hard to get over that feeling of sitting on the deck of the Titanic listening to the band right now. I'm trying really hard to be hopeful and optimistic, and I'm just hoping that whatever happens tonight, that we can move forward in some better direction than where we're at right now. The fact that you guys are all hanging out with me tonight at least tells me that, you're trying to find a little bit of a break from the craziness, which I needed as well. I loved knowing that we were all going to be in the war room together tonight. It seems like we've spent so many nights being unsure and uncertain and scared together, and I wouldn't want to be anywhere else tonight. You guys know how much you mean to me, and you obviously know how much this country means to me. And I think I speak for everybody, regardless of their political affiliations, that I'm freaked out right now. And so I'm glad that we're all here to support each other. And I'm glad that, we're all here with a common goal of community, and we're looking for a laugh, and we're looking for support and empathy. And that's why we're all here right now. Amanda says, I needed this break from studying. Christine says, it's bad that I had to buy a carton of smokes on Monday to get through this night. I just want to get the virus over and get back to normalcy, said Lisa. Lisa, I hate to tell you, but I don't know if we're ever going to get back to where we were before. I feel like things have changed permanently in a way that is still uncertain. Specifically the entertainment industry. There was another round of layoffs. iHeart had another round of layoffs of radio personnel over the last couple days. I definitely know the radio industry is forever changed by this year, and not just because WAAF went off the air, but just I think the way that the economy is right now, and the way that everything is so uncertain. That I know radio has changed forever. I know concerts and touring, at least for the foreseeable future, has changed forever. I can't wait to be able to hang out with all of you guys. I can't wait for us to be able to get together and laugh about all of this at some point. I just have no idea when that's going to happen. Until then, I will take this. Ryan said, I heard rumors it will end in 2022, but I don't know. John says, you mean a lot to me, Carrie. I enjoyed you on WAAF, and I enjoy you now. Thank you very much, John. Appreciate that. No matter how you vote, I think you are still assholes. Thanks, Keith. I appreciate that. See, that's the kind of uplifting, bring everybody together around the campfire mentality that we need tonight. Let's see. Christine, I have no idea about the big gig in April. I have not heard one way or the other. I think that these decisions are getting made when they feel like they have enough information and enough input from the medical community and the government and whatever to be able to make the decisions. And so I don't know if we're going to get an answer about the big gig this year. We might not get it until after the new year. I just don't know. Gordon, I couldn't agree with you more. I can't wait to go back to concerts, he said. Hell yeah. When is the big gig? It's in April. And it's at the DCU Center. They moved it a whole year. Anyone else rock their shirt to the poll? Team Purple. I saw Brianna wear a Cocktails in the War Room t-shirt to the polls when she voted today. I love that. Let's see. Sean Connery was our savior, but that bitch 2020 took him. I know. Can we talk about Sean Connery for a second before we get into all the podcast talk and all of the other stuff? It was shocking to me. And I don't know why I was shocked. He was 90 years old. But Sean Connery was just one of those guys that I wasn't old enough to see him as James Bond when he was James Bond in real time. I only saw him as James Bond later and watched the movies after the fact. To me, Roger Moore is James Bond because that was my era of, growing up and seeing Roger Moore as James Bond, which is why his cameo role in The Big Chill is not The Big Chill. Sorry, Cannonball Run. His role in Cannonball Run is stupendous and superb. I'm really trying to squish words together tonight. I was shocked because Sean Connery was that guy that was always kind of old. Even when he wasn't that old, he had gray hair and he was balding, but he was always handsome. And I always used to have a joke on the radio that, people age unfairly, that men kind of get better looking and more distinguished as they get older. And I used to make the joke that Sean Connery still gets laid. And at the time, he was like in his 70s. So losing him, I was really sad. There's so many movies that he was in. I love The Hunt for Red October. I liked the Indiana Jones movie that he was in. There's so many movies that I just loved him in. So if you guys got some favorite ones, let me know. We just watched The Rock today, says Eric. Exactly. Ken Park says Roger Moore is dead too. I know, but he was always Roger Moore to me. Like, it's really interesting how different generations have their Roger Moore. Have their James Bond. Like, it was Sean Connery for some, it was Roger Moore for some, it was Pierce Brosnan for some. It just really depends on what era of James Bond you got into. He was always a babe, says Christine. Exactly. Fucking sangria, says Therese. I know. I haven't even begun to tackle this glass of sangria and I already can't talk. The Untouchables. Fantastic movie, Michael. I don't think there's moonshine in here, Tracy, but maybe. Highlander, says Dondi. Absolutely. David says, I got to send you 100-ounce mug for them days when you need to go extra full Fernandez. 100 ounces. That's like a 55-gallon drum. How am I going to hoist that here in the war room and be able to drink it? Let's see. The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Can we talk about how funny the SNL skits were when Sean Connery was on Jeopardy and how fucking funny that character was? Entrapment, says Keith. Ken says he's a Roger Moore era too. So the full Fernandez is talking then, says Donna. No, I'm not full Fernandez right now. I had 3 sips of the sangria. Let's see. It comes with a straw, says David. Well, that's fantastic. Untouchables was a TV show before it was a movie. I know, but he was great in the Untouchables in the movie. Danielle says, great playlist for Halloween, by the way. Did you guys catch? I put together a Halloween playlist on Spotify to kind of be the soundtrack to your trick-or-treating or you're staying home waiting for the trick-or-treaters. You guys know it's my favorite day of the year. I didn't get any trick-or-treaters this year. I usually don't. My street's not exactly trick-or-treater friendly, but it always bums me out that I don't really get a lot of them. But how did you guys love Halloween this year? Hopefully you were able to do something fun. I saw a lot of pictures. Did you guys see the picture on Instagram and on Facebook and Twitter of the little girl that dressed up as me for Halloween with a purple wig and eye makeup with her cocktails in the War Room t-shirt, flashing the devil horns? I can't even handle her. If you didn't see it, I posted it up on Facebook and it's up on Twitter and Instagram. It's ridiculous. Worked out well with the kids while walking, says Keith. Rock the playlist all day, says Brianna. That is awesome. I really enjoyed the Halloween playlist, says Michael. Ed wants to know how mine was. My Halloween was super mellow. I got to tell you guys, I have been really trying to just chill. Things are really stressful for me in a lot of ways, not just work-wise, which there's just a lot of crazy stuff going on that I can't wait to tell you guys about. But family stuff, things are really stressful right now. And so I'm trying to find the way to kind of decompress and allow myself whatever it is that I need to kind of feel better. So if I need to be alone, if I just need to chill, if I need to go outside, I've been spending a lot of time playing with Wednesday, just really trying to just calm down. So I didn't go to any Halloween parties this year. I have some people in the family that are immunocompromised, and so I'm really trying to be careful. We haven't even made Halloween plans yet. Thanksgiving plans yet. We don't know what we're going to do. So I just was super mellow for Halloween this year, which bummed me out. I spent a lot of time listening to music. I too was blaring the Halloween playlist. There's some great stuff on there. Katie says, my kids got to trick or treat. It makes me happy that a lot of kids got out trick-or-treating and that people found ways to do it carefully and safely, because I remember looking forward to trick-or-treating literally all year as a kid. And I hate the fact that so many of these memories in the formative years of kids are being disrupted, that they're not able to be in school, that they're not able to play all the sports, the extracurricular activities, the playing around the neighborhood kids, the trick-or-treating. Malls are saying they're going to want you to make an appointment to go and see Santa at the mall to try and control crowds. It's just, David, I did get the gas pump set up, David. I showed it off here in the war room. It's actually downstairs in MCHQ. And I love it. So thank you. It's fantastic. Let's see. William says, I bought $25 worth of candy and only had 6 kids. Well, there you go. Now you got a bunch of candy. So that's a good thing. Let's see. I still decorated and carved pumpkins. I did still decorate for sure. I wanted the house to look great. And then it fucking snowed all over my Halloween decorations. And it was ridiculous. I mean, have we gone through all 4 seasons since we were in the war room together last week? I think we have. It's been ridiculous. I bought 100 bags of chips and gave out 4 bags, says Ron. Let's see. Brianna says, hi, Gigi, our smallest war room family member. Hey, Gigi. So yeah, I didn't really do much this weekend. I'm just trying to chill. And, I mean, how many times have we met in the war room and we've talked about, really paying attention to our own mental health and making sure that we're doing okay so that we can be there for the other people that need us. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do is just, be careful and rest. And I'm trying to focus on work the best that I can because it's a really good distraction. So there's a lot of great stuff happening work-wise. Some stuff I can talk about tonight, some stuff I can't talk about yet, but I will be in the coming weeks. And I'm super excited to bring you guys in on it. Producer Mike says, went through my daughter's candy and not one fucking weed edible. Damn, the news lies. Nick says, my neighbors started decorating for Christmas in August. Nick, that's bullshit. You shouldn't be allowed to decorate at least till November 1st. You've got to give the Halloween people Halloween. It's ridiculous. I mowed the lawn and shoveled within 2 days. Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. We've literally gone through all 4. We had some summer weather, and then we had fall, then we had winter, then we had fall, then winter again, all within like a 36-hour period. It's just ridiculous. I know, Danielle. I'm working on the fucking hoodies. You're killing me. I know. Let's see. My neighbor has purple Christmas lights out. Well, purple Christmas lights look good for Halloween, and they pass for Christmas. So I think purple and orange Christmas lights, you can put them up at the beginning of October and you can like let them slide all the way through New Year's. And that's, I think, acceptable. Let's see. And then it's going to be summer again this weekend, says William. I know. And it's really good because I haven't picked up any of my leaves yet. And then they got buried in snow and the snow killed my pumpkins and my mums. I had beautiful mums and then they died because they got buried in snow. 70 degrees on Saturday, says Paula. It's exactly what I'm talking about, guys. Everything is just weird. So let's talk about some stuff to get our minds off of everything that is going on right now. I want to talk about a recap of episode 21 of the Mistress Carrie podcast, which was an episode that I did for the War Room. I wanted you guys that bought the Cocktails in the War Room shirts earlier this summer to know where the money went. And so that's me and Don Cox. Well, let me do this way. That's me and Don Cox, who you heard on the podcast episode, who runs the Massachusetts Military Support Foundation. And he came into the War Room and we recorded the interview in MCHQ. And I wanted to know what you guys thought about the interview. I thought he was incredibly insightful. He is so smart. He has such a logistical brain to be able to problem solve and see need with veterans and figure out a way to help them. And I thought and still think he's incredibly inspiring. So I wanted to know what you guys thought of the episode. I know that, let's see, David said episode 21 was an eye-opener. Great to hear that story. I think it is an eye-opener. I thought it was really fascinating, his perspective on why some of these issues with, the need for food assistance in our veterans community are there. And to hear how he was able to take his experience, his logistical experience from the military, parlay it into his civilian work with the Sheridan Corporation, and to be able to take all of those learning opportunities and be able to put it into this organization that is a logistical marvel. And he talked a lot about how it is that they pack these boxes and the way that they're able to galvanize a pool of volunteers, and even with COVID restrictions, find a way to safely be able to pack these food boxes, and how they're able to leverage food donations. Were you guys so inspired by how he spoke about the Kraft family? Ron says, love this podcast. Thank you for letting the OGs know where our money went. Great cause. That's part of the reason why I wanted to do this episode of the podcast. He's an amazing guy. I loved it, says Karen. It was awesome and an eye-opener, says Thomas. Amanda said it was fascinating on the steps that had to happen just to get a box of food together. That's what I'm talking about. He's got so many companies that donate food, but if you can't get the boxes to put them in, how do you do it? How do you get a bunch of perishable foods together if you can't find the trucks to keep them refrigerated? And how do you power those trucks if you can't raise the cash donations for the fuel? And then you got to hire the drivers. And so when you start looking at what would be perceived as an incredibly simple thing, a box of food for a veteran in need, and you look at the mechanism that's required to have that box of food be placed in the trunk of a veteran who needs food assistance, what this organization is able to do, especially in this time, is remarkable. It's nothing short of remarkable. And I was surprised how many meals were given away. When we recorded the podcast episode, it was over 5 million meals. And they keep a tote board on their website so that you can see, because each box of food is 3 meals a day for 2 weeks for 2 people. So each box just isn't one meal. They're providing sustenance, nutrition. To hear how they worked with the home base program, which you guys know is another program that I am incredibly passionate about, to have the dietitians kind of give the Mass Military Support Foundation guidelines on what needed to be in those boxes, so that they weren't just supplying calories, but they were supplying well-rounded nutrition for these veterans and their spouses and partners. Ron says, Mr. Kraft has always been great. David says all the cog on the wheel play a part. Exactly. The work that went into figuring out the meal balance equal the dietitian. Amazing, says Melissa. I know, it's amazing. It's unbelievable. And I was really wanting to show you guys that those simple t-shirts, I wanted you to see what they were a part of, like you're saying, just a cog in the wheel. We were all a part of that. I did want to say, and I didn't make the graphic tonight, so I apologize, but Spartan Brews Coffee Company, there is a link on this Facebook page that I put up a couple days ago. They are making purple fleece jackets with the Spartan Brews logo, and they're calling it Mistress Carrie Purple. And if you buy one of those fleece zip-ups, they're going to donate $5 to the Mass Military Support Foundation, which I thought was amazing. And Spartan Brews Coffee is a veteran-run organization, which I thought was even better. So that's not part of the Mistress Carrie merch. That was just something that Spartan Brews wanted to do. And so that purple pullover or zip-up fleece, they're donating $5 from every one of them to a charity that I support, which I just thought was amazing. And I didn't really have to ask them to do that. It was something that they offered because they really believe in the mission. And so I just wanted to thank the guys at Spartan Brews, too, for getting that done. So Eric says the vets are not getting junk food. They're getting real help. Exactly. That's the mission, that they're getting nutritional food, that they're getting produce, they're getting dairy, they're getting what they call perishable as opposed to what Don calls shelf stable, which is stuff like pasta and rice and tuna fish and canned goods, vegetables and all of that stuff, but that there's also fresh produce worked into it. Let's see. Hopefully my hubby ordered one for me for Christmas, says Melissa. Where are they located? Eric wants to know. Well, as of right now, Spartan Brews is an online only company. But I know that they are working on some brick and mortar locations. But I think that the coronavirus has kind of slowed that down, but you can find them online. And like I said, there's a link right on this Facebook page with the purple fleece. If you scroll down from a couple days ago, it's there. Let's see. Still waiting for our hoodies, says Billy. I'm working on it, damn it, Billy. Do you think all of this stuff is easy? Do you know how many t-shirt manufacturers have switched their machinery to make masks? So just getting blank cotton t-shirts has become more difficult because that material is being used to make masks right now. So sourcing things, getting things designed, getting things shipped, figuring out the shipping on my end. These are all things that would normally take some time. They're taking way more time because of Corona. So trust me, I'm working on it. And I hope to have big announcements in the coming weeks. Sorry, I'm fixing my sock. So yes, I will have answers for you. I know. Trust me, the holidays are coming. Nobody wants my stuff out there more than me. So I'm working on it. And I'm really happy that you guys, to get back to the podcast episode, I'm really happy that you guys enjoyed this episode. If you haven't caught up yet, please go and listen to it. And we are working on a volunteer day, a war room volunteer day down at their facility packing boxes. So I'm working on that as well. And we'll see what happens. All right. So let's talk about who's on the podcast this week. After all, it is a rock lifestyle podcast. And so this week we return to the music. I thought it would be great to have another musical guest on the podcast. Oh, wait, hold on. I have to take this off of there. I thought it would be great to have another musical guest on the podcast this week because things are so crazy right now. And so Josh Todd from Buckcherry is going to be on the podcast this week. When I spoke to him, was in Nashville working on the new Buckcherry album, which the guys decided to work on, even though they had an album come out last year, but they wanted to take some time and work on a new record right now. And so we talked a lot about that. I think you guys are going to be fascinated by how Josh has been spending his time during the COVID kind of shutdown of the music industry. We had a very candid conversation about work ethic and the responsibility of providing for your family in any way that you can. We talked a lot about how the music industry in general works and the difference in the tiers of successful rock bands and musicians in general, and how there are musicians that, never have to work again versus working rock bands that need to be out on the road. And Buckcherry is one of those bands that needs to tour to survive. And not being able to do that, he got really candid about how he's coping with that. And we talked about his sobriety. We talked about aging and keeping his voice in check. He is someone that has really focused on his vocal cord health. He actually got into the science of it a little bit, which I think you guys might think is fascinating, and about how singers can really destroy their voices. And it might make you, after you hear Josh talk about taking care of your vocal cords, the next time you do go to a show, or if you're watching some of these live stream performances, you watch the behavior of the lead singers, and you're going to keep a special eye on what they're doing now. And you'll remember what Josh talked about as far as vocal cord health. So I think it's a pretty fascinating interview. He's one of those guys that, again, I've known for almost my entire radio career. And so it was great to catch up with him. It was nice to see his face. We were able to see each other doing the video during the interview. And so I hope that you guys love this episode. So Josh Todd from Buckcherry is going to be on episode 22 of the Mistress Carrie podcast that goes live at midnight tonight. In case you guys are still awake and you're looking for a distraction. The episode goes live in about 3 hours or so. Let's see. Eric says, did you know Dawkins released Back for the Attack on November 1st, 1987? I actually saw that on Twitter the other day and I couldn't believe it. It's just crazy. When are these going on YouTube? Mark wants to know. Well, Mark, here's the thing. There's a couple of reasons why that hasn't happened yet. And I don't mind talking about it because I want you guys to kind of understand how this stuff works. So the first thing is MCHQ has not been outfitted with cameras yet. When I originally built it, I built it with the future of putting cameras in there, obviously. But when you're building a studio in the middle of a pandemic, the first concern for me was getting the audio equipment up and running. Once I got that up and running, I wanted to be able to get the podcast up right away because so many people listen to podcasts while they're driving or they're working out or they're, got headphones on while they're cleaning the house or whatever it is that you're doing. So I wanted to make sure that the podcast got up and running and that the quality of the audio was really good. I've had a couple of flubs with the audio. It's really hard when you're not able to control the environment on both sides. So for me, I'm in MCHQ. It's soundproof. I got really good microphones. I have really good equipment. But when you're interviewing someone remotely, you can hear it in, say, Amy Lee from Evanescence, or even Josh Todd to a certain extent. Daryl McDaniels is another example. They were in a room in their house, and you can hear the echo and the sound bouncing around. They're wearing, like AirPods or something, and you can hear the echo. So being able to get these interviews to consistently sound good when I can only control half the environment has been a priority. Doing these interviews in real time and being able to control the video aspect of it at the same time as controlling the audio, like I do here in the War Room, I can control all the pictures and the graphics and stuff, and I can bring in a guest on Skype or whatever. But I think that getting the video together, when you guys watch video podcasts, like if you watch Joe Rogan, he's got a whole team of people that are producing it for him, that are researching it for him. He's got engineers. He's got video people. He's got a whole team. And right now I just have me. So that's part of the reason that I have not outfitted the podcast with video yet. It is part of the plan. And obviously once touring starts back up, whenever that happens, I would love to be able to take the podcast out on the road and do these interviews in person backstage at shows. When that happens, I'm hoping to be able to coordinate video so that I can put these videos up on the YouTube channel that I created to be able to put Cocktails in the War Room up for people that don't have Facebook. So I do have a YouTube channel. It is part of the plan. It's just a lot of work. So Ron says, I listen while driving to see my kids on Wednesdays. See, exactly. I'll work for free, says Mark. What's up, Michael? Hey, how are you? I'll volunteer as tribute to help you out as possible. Thank you, Keith. Monica says, and you're kicking ass. Well, thank you very much. There are a lot of plans for expansion, guys. Trust me. There are also a lot of other infrastructure things that I needed to take care of first. I had a whole website to build, which I'm working on and is almost done right now. Getting merchandise designed, getting logos designed, getting a workflow and a way to archive. I had to get backups of backups of backups when it comes not only to saving the memory, but also order a bunch of equipment to protect everything in case of a power surge or a power outage or, so it's a lot, but trust me, I want you guys to see these videos. Some people, when I offer, do you want to do the video interviews or phone interviews? Some people don't want to do the video interviews because maybe they're, sitting on their couch in their underwear or something, or they just don't feel camera ready or whatever it is. So some of these videos some of these interviews I do on the phone only. It depends on the guest. I've only had a few people come into MCHQ. Obviously, producer Mike came into MCHQ. Mike Shue came into MCHQ. Don Cox and the staff from Mass Military Support Foundation came into MCHQ, but we're working on it. We are all on this ride with you, says Danielle. Thank you. Michelle says, put Wednesday to work. Trust me, I put her to work and now she's sleeping in the other room. She didn't even want to deal with anything tonight. Oh, Heidi says, we made a Halloween candy cannon and shot candy out to the kids. That's fantastic. Cheers. Sorry, I need a drink. Okay. So when it comes to the podcast, number 22 is out tonight at midnight. And I hope you guys love Josh Todd from Buckcherry. And so there you go. All right. Oh, see, I can't get this thing right. It's never perfect. I want to remind you guys about the sit rep. The reaction has been amazing. I am looking for feedback from you guys on the kinds of stories that you want to hear in the sit rep. If you don't know what the sit rep is, Monday through Friday, the first thing in the morning when you wake up, there will be a mini podcast episode that we call the Situation Report. It's always under 5 minutes long, and it's all your rock news, music headlines, some entertainment updates, but it keeps you up to date with everything that's going on, but in a short and concise way to fill you in on everything, but at the same time, not talking your ear off like I do here in the War Room. So you get everything in less than 5 minutes. And you also know that if I talk about something you're really interested in the description of the sit rep are all the links to all of the full length stories so that you can see where I got the story from. If I'm talking about purchasing something like tickets to watch a live stream or merch from a band or charitable donations or whatever it is, all the links are always in the description of the sit rep. So if you're listening while you're driving or while you're on the treadmill or whatever, and you hear something that sparks your interest, you can always go back and check the links in the description. And the same thing is true for the full length podcast episodes, is that there are always links in there. There are the social media links of the guest. There's the links to whatever band they're part of or the business they represent or the organization they represent. There's always a corresponding playlist to the full length episodes. And then, of course, all of the links to find me on all of my social media outlets as well. You doing sports in the sit rep would be awesome. Come on, Mark, there's plenty of places to get sports. Plus, it's so depressing right now anyway. But I really wanted it to be a place where you could go and get the music news that really nobody else is talking about. You don't have a place like WAF anymore to be able to go and get that information. So I wanted to give you a place where you know that you're going to get everything. I was able to have a small conversation on a live with Dan Ticketon, and he mentioned being on your show, says Rob. Oh, that's very cool. So we're talking about Sahaj from Ra, who just released new music, as a matter of fact. Yeah, there's birthdays in the sit rep. Oh, okay, Joe. Yeah, we could definitely do that. You haven't been hanging out as long lately. You never talk our ears off, says Brianna. Let's see. Yes, Rob from Ra. No sports, just rock and entertainment. Love it just the way it is. I know you guys want to know about sports, but you know, I mean, there's stations dedicated to it. And there are not, unfortunately, stations dedicated to our beloved rock music anymore. So I'm trying to keep you guys filled in on exactly what's going on with all of the bands that you love. But if there are stories or things that you want me to cover, or, you know, I'm always open to suggestions because I want you guys to be happy when you download the podcast and you listen to the sit reps or the full length episodes. Bring back the cocktail of the day. You know what, Keith? We haven't done the cocktail of the day in a while, and we do need to bring that back. You are 100% right. How about Cam Neely? Well, that's the thing. Like, on the podcast, I have no problem interviewing athletes. I would love to talk to Cam Neely, especially about some of the crazy LB stories, talking to him about music and all kinds. I would love to sit down and talk to Cam Neely on the podcast. That would be amazing. Penny says, love the sit rep, goes with my morning coffee, which is exactly what I was hoping for, you know, that it's a bite-sized piece of everything. So at least, you know, starting the day, you're kind of filled in with all of the music news that's out there. Can we cheers to Jeff's birthday, please? Heidi, absolutely. Hold on. Let me find the birthday thing. It's Jeff's birthday. So happy birthday, Jeff. Cheers. Hold on. Let me give you the good. image of the sangria skull. Cheers. All right, Jeff, you celebrate your birthday with Adam Ant and Mick Thompson from Slipknot. Let's see. No dairy, eggs, or gin, says Tracy. I know. We got to bring the drink recipes back in Cocktails in the War Room because I loved those. Ed says, I thought 94 HJY was still around in Providence. It is, but they were never a station that talked about as much new music as WAAF did. They always played a lot more classic stuff, and a lot of people can't hear them. I can't even get HJY anywhere near Lemonster. So cheers to Jeff. Happy birthday. Once LB recovers, you need to have him on. He already promised me, Ron, that he would come on the podcast once he recovers. Where did your bullet mug disappear off to? It hasn't disappeared. It's right over there in the war room. It's just, this has kind of become my sangria mug. I think I need and then, the copper mugs have the Moscow Mules in it. So what I think I need to do is come up with a signature drink for the bullet mug, and then I'll put them in rotation. But I love the bullet mug. The only thing is you can't put it in the dishwasher because it's got a fucking bullet in it. You got to wash it by hand. Is Corey still going to be working with Slipknot? Yes, as a matter of fact. They're already in talks of ideas for the next Slipknot record. So yes. Happy birthday, David. Just got home from work, Dave. Well, welcome to the party. Welcome to the show. I get it in Foxborough when I visit, says Mark. Yeah, you can get it down there, but we can hear Rock 101 in Newton. Again, they're a station that leans a lot more classic, and you do hear some rock music on there, but not as frequently. And, when some of these stations are owned by bigger companies where they don't get to make all of their program decisions in-house, I know as part of the programming team that was at WAAF that all of our programming decisions were made in-house. Entercom never told us what to play. They never told us what records to add. They never told us what bands to get behind. Some other companies make a lot of those programming decisions in a regional way. And so, sometimes it's harder to break new bands that way. So, it all depends. And then, of course, there's tons of classic rock stations, but, they're not going to play a lot of the heavier stuff. They're not going to play a lot of the newer stuff. So, that's a lot of the stuff that I want to make sure you guys are kept in touch with the sit rep, and that you guys know what's going on with all of those bands that we always loved at AAF. So, Ron, yes, he had another surgery. You guys are talking about LB in the comments. LB and I texted back and forth in mid-August when Kevin and Barbary and I bumped into each other. I can tell you guys now, I was actually out ring shopping with my now husband, and we bumped into Kevin Barbary, and Kevin, I was asking him about LB, and then Kevin texted LB and said, why haven't you texted Carrie back? And then LB texted me back, and LB and I texted back and forth for a while. He told me he was having surgery in September, and that once he recovered from the surgery that he would come on the podcast. So I will try and make that happen before the end of the year, but I want to make sure that I'm giving LB ample time to recover because he's been through a lot. Let's see. Melissa wants to know, would you go back to radio if it were offered to you, or would you keep doing what you are doing? Melissa, that is a great question. And it would all depend on where the station was and what my job would be. I don't think I would be willing to give up the podcast. And I don't want to give up the war room. So I think if I were going to start talking about doing radio stuff again, that I would want to be able to do a good job on the radio, but that I would also want to still be able to continue doing all of the things that I do now that I love so much. I love doing the podcast. I love working on it. If I got offered a job in radio where I were able to talk about the podcast and then be able to talk about my radio job on the podcast and vice versa, I think it would be great. But I had the most amazing job at WAAF, and I think to a certain extent I was spoiled there. I worked my way up. I did every job. I had a lot of programming freedom. I got to make a lot of content decisions that a lot of other people don't get to make nowadays. I would be happy to have any and all conversation with any radio station, radio company, programmers. But I mean, the world has changed in a lot of ways. The industry has changed in unbelievable ways this year. And so it would really be a discussion about what kind of job they wanted me to do. And if I was going to not only be able to do the job to the best of my ability, but if I was going to be happy doing it. Just like I was talking about with Halloween, I have really tried to reprioritize my life and focus on having a better work-life balance that I think I had when I was at WAAF. That station was my whole life. I mean, there were days I was working 16 hours, commuting sometimes 3 or more hours a day, being on call 24 hours a day, away from home a lot, missing a lot of family functions. I mean, my cousin got married years ago, and I was supposed to, I had planned a charity motorcycle ride for WAAF. And so when my cousin announced her wedding date, I was already committed to doing the charity motorcycle ride and didn't want to back out of it. So I literally rode from the charity motorcycle ride and arrived at my cousin's wedding on my Harley. And I always was trying to find a way to have a personal life and to have a work life. And sometimes that can be really hard. And I'm trying to really appreciate how short life is and how nothing is promised, and to be able to live as full of a life as I can every day. And so I, would want to take all of that into consideration. But yeah, to answer long-winded your question, if you know somebody in radio that wants to offer me a job, I would totally pick up the phone if they called. Let's see. Greetings on Election Day. Hope all is well and safe. Your podcast is incredible. Thank you very much, Walter. Don't worry about being late. Glad you're here. We were talking about the podcast and who's going to be on this week. So Josh Todd from Buckcherry is on this week. This is where you can get the podcast. There are a ton of places where you can subscribe and get the podcast. Basically, anywhere that you can find a podcast, you can just search for the Mistress Carrie podcast and it will come up. And that right there is, there we go. That right there is the graphic that you need to look for. So we're 22 episodes in, plus there have been after action reports where guests have come in the war room. And then I've put those interviews up as bonus episodes of the podcast. And then the sit rep's been around for almost a month now. And those are every Monday through Friday. Just like I said, all the details are right there. Okay. Let's see. Ooh, announcement. 93 countries. This week, I would like you guys to join me in welcoming Brunei to the Mistress Carrie podcast. I don't even know how to pronounce it. Brunei Darussalam. Is that how that's pronounced? Yeah. So there you go. They are the latest country to join the Mistress Carrie podcast. Look at South America. It's insane. You guys are killing me spreading the word of the podcast so much. So I want to thank you guys for always sending everybody out to listen to the podcast and tell everybody to listen to it and sharing it. And if you've got Buckcherry fans that are friends of yours on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, please send them this week's episode. I know, Danielle, it's crazy. There's 93 countries. Every week when I pull this country report, it's just crazy. Keith says Canada got dark. That's because more and more people are listening in Canada. The shades of blue show the concentration of audience, and Canada is getting really dark because there's a lot of Canadians that are listening to the Mistress Carrie podcast, and it's amazing. So there you go. Episode 107 is coming up quick. I know. It's crazy. This is episode 103 of Cocktails in the War Room. So we got another month and we'll be at episode 107. So that's pretty unbelievable too. So I'm super excited that the podcast is spread to so many countries, and I've got you guys to thank for it. And thank you guys for all the support. And so for anybody that, it's all LB's people. says Michael. Exactly. Those are all LB's fans that are up there in Canada listening to the podcast. Who knew? You took it global, says Walter. Well, you guys did. Eric says, I am going to piss my pants if you get Kim Jong-un to listen. I know. If we can check off North Korea, which I don't think is going to happen, but if we do, that would be amazing. All right, guys, let's talk about some music headlines because there's some cool stuff to talk about. Did you guys hear the new Rob Zombie? It's called The Triumph of King Freak, a crypt of preservation and superstition. Heaven forbid Rob Zombie make it easy for us, but he released new music, which is amazing. I could not believe that Rage Against the Machine's debut album came out 28 years ago today. Shocking. It's unbelievable. And did you see that they released the Battle of Mexico City, the concert that they did? They released the video and you can stream it. And they also are reissuing a lot of the old Rage Against the Machine merchandise, which you can get I believe it's on ragemerch.com. So you can check that out. Chris Fenn, formerly of Slipknot, the percussionist with the really long nose, today dropped his lawsuit against the band. He had been suing for lost wages and some other stuff, and it caused a lot of drama within the Slipknot camp earlier this year. There was a lot of shit talking back and forth, and he dropped his lawsuit today. So that was one of the headlines I wanted to talk to you guys about. Just a simple reminder about Metallica. The All Within My Hands first ever live stream is coming up on the 14th. If you were listening to the sit rep, I believe today, we were talking about how this upcoming Metallica record, which they have not started to write yet, but they have all hinted that is going to happen sooner than later. Robert Trujillo said that it is going to be a more collaborative effort amongst all four members of the band. Normally, it's just James and Lars that kind of write the lion's share of the Metallica music, but they are hinting towards an all band member collaboration or more collaborative effort in this new record that they could be working on during all of the coronavirus lockdown stuff. And so I think that's pretty interesting as well. You guys got to search this online because it's fucking unbelievable. Tim Keller is the mayor of Albuquerque, and he went to the polls to vote today in a Machine Head hoodie. And if you go on the mayor of Albuquerque, Tim Keller's official Twitter feed, if you go to his Twitter page, in his description on his Twitter feed, it says lifelong metal fan. And even the guys from Machine Head retweeted and sent him a shout out because this guy's such a badass that he went to the polls in a Machine Head hoodie. He's unbelievable. It's so cool. When I get my hoodies, I got to send this guy one because he's a total metalhead. It was awesome. So go on Twitter and look up the pictures. It's fucking badass. This guy is cool. I have no idea what political party he's a part of. I don't know what any of his platforms are. All I know is that his name's Tim Keller. It says on his Twitter feed that he is a lifelong and diehard metal fan and that he was representing Machine Head at the polls when you know every politician is voting for the photo op to get their picture taken and to be on TV when they vote. And so he purposefully chose to wear a Machine Head hoodie to vote when he knew the press was going to be there. That shit's cool, man. We clearly need more metalheads in politics, says Brianna. I couldn't agree more. So I thought you guys would get a kick out of that. So go on Twitter and you'll be able to just search Tim Keller, Albuquerque, if you can fucking figure out how to spell Albuquerque. Okay. The Rock Hall induction is coming up this weekend. You can watch it on HBO. It's going to be a fully virtual induction ceremony this year. 9 Inch Nails, Depeche Mode, the Doobie Brothers, T-Rex, Notorious B.I.G., and Whitney Houston are all being inducted. And they're going to also have a big tribute to Eddie Van Halen. And that's going to be on HBO this weekend on November 7th. So you can watch that. Eddie Vedder did a 3-hour interview on Howard Stern the other day. And one of the things that I thought was really funny is if you saw A Star Was Born with Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga, when you watch that movie, you see a lot of Eddie Vedder in his portrayal. And that was on purpose because Bradley Cooper reached out to Eddie Vedder trying to get mannerisms and that kind of stuff down, playing a rock star. And Eddie Vedder helped him out with a lot of that. One of the funniest parts of the interview, I thought, this is Eddie Vedder's quote and his advice to Bradley Cooper: make sure your guitar covers your balls at all times. Not only for the aesthetic purpose, although Tom Morello plays the guitar pretty high up, But he also gave him that advice because if anybody in the crowd throws anything of substance, you've got something protecting your nuts, which I thought was great. No news on the dicks, Danielle. I got nothing yet. Me and my dad blasted Rob Zombie's Feel So Numb as we pulled in on our truck to vote, and all the old farts scowled, says Eric. Well, whatever. They can't handle it. Rodney says Machine Head posted the photo of the hoodie on their Facebook page, too. That's fantastic. So if you guys haven't seen Albuquerque Mayor Tim Keller in the Machine Head hoodie, you can go and check it out. Michael asked, did you ever get to meet Eddie Van Halen? When Kevin Barbary joined us in the War Room, we actually talked about it. I met him twice. I met him briefly when Van Halen 3 with Gary Sharon, they did a promotion for WAAF. I believe it was in 1998 or 99 at the Hard Rock Cafe, the original one on Clarendon, not where it is now down at Faneuil Hall, but when it was the original one down on Clarendon Street with the Cadillac coming out of the ceiling. And I met him very briefly. And then years later, when Sammy was with the band, and I got to say, this was like 05, 06 maybe, I had gone out to Denver to go and visit the Shinedown guys on tour, and Brent took me into Eddie's private dressing room, and it was just me and Brent Smith from Shinedown and Eddie and Wolfgang Van Halen in a room. And I got to spend, I don't know, like 10 or 15 minutes just privately with Eddie, and I never got a picture. And Brent and I laughed about it after the fact because I never took one. And Eddie was just sitting in this big leather chair, and he didn't look the healthiest, but he was just noodling around on the guitar. And I talked about it with Kevin Barbary that I couldn't stop staring at his hands because he had like these big, like if you've ever seen older people that have arthritic knuckles, that he just had these bigger knuckles. But I remember this part of his finger, the top, I don't know what you call it, somebody in the medical industry, whatever that top bone of your finger is, I remember his being bigger, almost like a frog's hands. When you see a frog stuck to a glass and it's like the top part of their hands are like suction cuppy and bulbous, I guess for lack of another word. And I remember looking at his hands and thinking, how are they so graceful doing what he does? Because they didn't look graceful. If you go back a few podcast episodes to the Kevin Martin from Candlebox episode, the last 30 minutes of that episode, we talked about Eddie Van Halen, and Kevin actually talked a lot about Eddie's hands and about that very thing. So, but the experience is unforgettable though, says Amanda. 100%. I mean, I got to have a personal quiet time with Eddie Van Halen and Wolfgang. And this was before Wolfgang was in the band. This was back when Sammy and Michael Anthony were in the band still, and Wolfgang was just hanging out with his dad. And so to see that kind of father-son relationship, and just to, let me get those words out from in front of my face. And, to see them just get to spend some quality backstage time before the show was really nice. And it was really sweet that Brent was like, wait, you've never spent any time with Eddie? Let me take you down there. And he like grabbed me by the hand and walked me down the hall backstage at the arena and brought me into Eddie's room. And it was really cool. Ron says Gary Sharon was a substitute gym teacher for me in junior high here in Malden back when the band was the Dream. And he's still in remarkable shape, by the way. You look at a guy like Gary Sharon, it's ridiculous the shape he's in. It's unbelievable. He is distal phalanges. I knew one of you guys would know. Eddie Van Halen's distal phalanges seemed oversized. And I believe it was Kevin Martin that talked about when he designed his own guitars, that he designed them around the way that his fingers would be going up and down the neck and hitting the strings. So let's see. Okay. Melissa is asking about Patreon. So hold on. Let me put that up there. On Patreon, can you give the 100th person a small prize pack and put all 100 subscribers in a raffle for a prize pack? Melissa, don't you worry. Everybody that has backstage passes is going to get some pretty cool stuff. If you don't know what we're talking about with the Backstage Pass, which, by the way, the newest recipient is Robert. So welcome, Robert. If you go on patreon.com/Mistress Carrie, you can get yourself a Mistress Carrie Backstage Pass, which will allow me to communicate with you. And I pretty much do it every day. I send out notes, blog posts, pictures, web links, fill you guys in on information before anybody else knows anything. I use the people with the Backstage Passes as a smaller focus group to be able to ask opinions on things. I've been using them for feedback on a sticker design that I'm working on. And so whoever gets Backstage Pass number 100 is going to get a special prize pack. But everybody else that is on Patreon already that has a Backstage Pass, I've got some cool stuff in the works for you guys as well. So, so yeah, if you need a little more Mistress Carrie in your life, if you want a little bit more of a Backstage Pass or backstage look at what's going on, one exciting thing that I can tell you guys about. So for anybody that has a Backstage Pass, I've been doing some research. I have been promising a backstage tour of MCHQ, and I have had to learn the technology through YouTube to be able to do a private live video stream for just the people with the Backstage Passes. And I believe that I have figured it out, which means that if you have a Backstage Pass, you're going to want to keep your eyes on Patreon, because very soon I am going to be setting a date and time for an exclusive tour of MCHQ for people with Mistress Carrie Backstage Passes. And I'll let you know when it's going to be. And then I'll post a link for everybody with the Backstage Passes. And then when you click on that link, you will get taken to an exclusive live stream that I'll be able to show you guys around the studio a little bit. So if you guys don't have your Backstage Passes yet, that is coming. Plus, when we launch mistresscarrie.com and launch the online store, you're going to get discounted merchandise access as well. So there's a lot of really exciting stuff coming with the Backstage Passes. There's a lot of growth with the podcast. There's a lot of new things coming, a lot of big announcements that I'm excited to make. And people with the Backstage Pass always find out about things before anybody else. So I'm pretty excited about that. So keep your eyes on Patreon for that date and time. And I'm hoping it's going to be in the next week or so. I have to beta test one more thing in the studio to make sure that it's working. And then I think it's going to be good to go. It's just hard to test this stuff and not be able to live test it. I mean, you guys know how it was with the War Room. That first night that I used all this new software, Mike Shue and I were in here with our mouth full of dicks, shit-faced, looking in opposite directions with the cameras. It takes a little while to get the stuff to work. So I'm pretty excited that I think I figured it out, but I want to beta test it with some friends and stuff before I put this thing live. So get your Backstage Pass. You can get it at patreon.com/Mistress Carrie right now. And it also makes for a pretty cool gift. So, you know, if you have somebody in your life as you're getting ready for, you know, the holidays and stuff, you can get it for somebody else. And all you got to do is just use their name and email address and stuff and sign them up for a Backstage Pass. And that can be your gift for the year. So I think that would be a pretty cool gift for somebody that, you know, you might not be able to see this holiday season, or, you know, just for somebody that wants a little extra whatever. And, you know, for a birthday or whatever, you're looking for something to get them that's a little out of the ordinary. And it's a gift that we'll give all year long because we communicate every day. So if you have a diehard Mistress Carrie fan in your life, hook them up with a Backstage Pass. And I will remind you guys of where you can find me on social everywhere. That includes Cameo. So if you go to the Cameo app and search for Mistress Carrie, I can make you custom videos. So as we get into the holiday season, if you want to send Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year videos to people that you know, I can make those on Cameo. I haven't done much with TikTok, but it's got to happen. I talked about it in the Sit Rep today that record labels are starting to do licensing agreements with TikTok. as a way to promote music. So there's going to be a lot more music-based content with newer artists and stuff on TikTok. So there's a lot more stuff that we can do there. But on Twitter, at Mistress Carrie, that's what it is on TikTok, Cameo, and YouTube, and Patreon as well. And then, of course, you found me on Facebook, and on Instagram, it's Mistress Carrie, WAAF, to track me down. So there's that. So took her fave, and yeah, Wednesday. Hey, what's Mommy got? I don't have any other of her toys in here because she took them all. She just woke up and she's looking at me from the couch in the other room. I'm trying to get her back in here. Hey, what does Mommy have? Come here. I don't have anything that makes noise. I need a squeaky toy. Where's the fucking stingray? Come here and see me. Oh, here she comes. Here she comes. I got her. You guys could Hi. What are you doing? Oh. Do you want to say hi to everybody? You were taking a nap? Are you stretching? Say hi to everybody. Everybody's very stressed out right now, and everybody's very scared. They could use a little pug FaceTime. Do you want to sit down? Show everybody your beautiful face? Here, sit down. Show everybody your face. Come here. Sit. Sit. I don't have any cookies. I can't bribe her. There she is. Guys, seriously, look at that nugget. Doesn't it make you just calm down? Like, let's all take a deep breath, a collective deep breath together, just like she did. And just look at how friggin' adorably cute she is. Look at her. Oh, Pug Cam. Thank you for coming in and visiting. Hold on, let me see if I can. There she is. Say hi. Can I be on the Pug Cam? Oh, I can be. Hi. I'll tell you, I don't understand people that aren't dog people. I mean, look at her. Right, Wednesday? Wait, look at her. Right? Can you say hi to everybody? Say, you woke me up for this shit? Where are all my toys? What the hell? Oh. If you bribe her with treats, then she'll start squeaking. Love her pumpkin costume. Oh, yeah. Did you guys see? If you follow her on Instagram, which you can see her handle on Instagram right there on the screen, she had her little pumpkin costume on. She wanted nothing to do with the spider outfit. She wanted nothing to do with anything on her head. So the best I could do was get her in a pumpkin outfit, and I thought she looked ridiculously cute. Her Halloween photos were so cute, Amanda says. Song of the day, elected Alice Cooper. Gizzy is jumping up on my lap like it was time for her to co-host, says Brianna. What a pug mug. I know. Look at her face. Look at, oh, you like that spot, huh? Seriously. We should all have it so good as she does right now. Not a care in the world. Are you leaving us? Yeah, show everybody your butthole. That's, yeah. How would they get through the week, Wednesday, if they didn't see your butthole? Come here. Can you just lay down? Can you just want to sit? Do you want to come over on Mommy's lap? Huh? Come here. Do you want to make some pug noises for everybody? Aww. Don't lick my headphones. Those are good headphones. We don't. Can you say hi? Say hi to everybody. Can you make noises for them? Do it. Do it. No, don't eat the microphone. That's a very expensive microphone, Wednesday. Don't do that. Well, I'm glad she decided to grace us with her presence, and now she's taking out her frustrations on all the pillows on the couch here in the war room. Hey, I have a whole camera set up for you over here. Can you come over here? No, over here, Wednesday. Hey, over here. I don't have a camera over there. You got to come over here. There you go. Come here and sit down. Sit. 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 Sit down. Sit. Can I have your paw? Thank you. Can I have your other paw? Thank you. Can you lay down for me? Oh, she did her tricks and I don't have any treats. Fuck. Oh, see, you're so good. Okay, wait, sit down. No. Sit. High five. High five. High five. Yeah. What about the other side? Yeah. Good girl. Heidi wants to know if I figured out the skull. Yes, Heidi, go to my Instagram. I got it working right at the end of Cocktails in the War Room last week. Then I got it all set up, turned all the lights out, turned the light on inside the skull, and took a video. It's fucking unbelievable. Michael says expensive microphones taste better. Yeah, exactly. Pillows are more interesting, MC. Thanks, Ron. She made a video. It was awesome. Yeah, the skull video is so cool. That thing, oh my God. Every time somebody came over from the family or something, I'm like, you got to see this magnetic skull that I got in the War Room. It was amazing. Does she do crazy puppy, aka zoomies? Oh yeah, Annette, she definitely does zoomies. She does them a lot outside, but every once in a while she'll do zoomies in the house, and it's just super cute. So even though she's 2.5, she still gets a little puppy in her every once in a while. But I've definitely noticed, especially in the last 6 months or so, definitely since I've been home every day, that she's starting to kind of mellow out. And she's starting to embrace her inner pug. So she's definitely enjoying being lazy, which is really good. So, all right, before I let you guys go, let's take another drink because the rest of the night and tomorrow and the rest of this week and probably the rest of this fucking month are going to be crazy. So let's all breathe together. Let's all relax. Let's all remember that the sun is going to come up tomorrow regardless. And there's a lot at stake on both sides. And at the end of the day, whoever wins, it looks like this election's going to be close. That should be a message for both sides of the aisle to realize that neither one of them is doing a good enough job of representing more than half of the country. And that is a problem. And we all need to concentrate more on what makes us similar than what makes us different. And I think Americans are always better when we do that. And so I think we need to just try and put some of our differences aside and most importantly, try to compromise on some things and try to see things from the other point of view. And I know that there are some issues where there is no compromise and there is no trying to see the other point of view when it comes to people that are racist or intolerant of gay people, like that kind of stuff. But we just, you know, we're all locked in this fucking room together, right? Like all of us are locked in this country together. You know, imagine getting trapped in an elevator with a bunch of strangers and you start arguing about who's pushing the buttons. And then you start complaining that none of you, you know, are getting any fresh air. And then you start figuring out, well, who's got what? And then you all have to kind of accept the fact that all of your fates are tied together. That's kind of where we all need to be, is we need to figure out how to get out of the fucking elevator together as opposed to trying to fight each other, because the elevator wins unless we all figure it out. So let's all figure it out together. We need to give you a COVID hug in a bubble boy outfit after we've dived into some sanitizer. I would really love that, actually. So yeah, let's really try to not, I don't know, overreact. Let's try to, I don't think we're going to get finalized results on the election tonight. There's too many states that have too many votes to count. I know that there was a burst pipe in a precinct in Pennsylvania, and they don't think they're going to be able to get all of their votes counted. So I think we're in this for the long haul. You know, no matter what the outcome is, it's going to be questioned and there's going to be a recount. And then there's going to be scrutiny about ballots, mail-in ballots, absentee ballots, what dates they were postmarked, all of that stuff. So be cool to one another. That's exactly what Amanda said. So try not to hyperventilate. Just try. Joshua says, I love you, Carrie, and I love your message, but I have this really bad feeling that either way this election goes, the U.S. is going to burn. Like that's the fear that I have too. And what's crazy is that literally both sides of the aisle have the same fear, right? They have the same fear that their candidate's not going to win and that the country's going to get destroyed based on who. So how about we all understand that it sounds like there's going to be problems no matter who wins. So how about we try to avoid all the problems together? We can figure it out. We just need to use some common sense and some empathy and understanding. So, oh yeah, you guys were asking about the mail call. And yeah, I went to the post office today and there wasn't anything there. So there's no mail call this week. But thank you guys for asking. The address is right. I'll never get that right, that I have to point in the other direction. I'm looking at it. And when I look at it, the address is that way. And after I've been drinking Fernandez's sangria, it really screws me up. But the address is right there. If you guys want to send anything in for mail call, but there wasn't anything this week. So there you go. That's why I skipped over it. But thank you guys for the reminder. Okay, guys. Collective deep breath. No matter what, we're going to figure out how to do it together and we're going to be okay. Really concentrate on just making sure that you're safe and your family and your loved ones are safe. Wake up, be the best person you can be tomorrow. Be extra nice to everybody tomorrow because I think we're all going to need it. So I love you guys. I don't know what's going to happen tonight. Obviously, the podcast episode that goes live in a couple hours, the interview I did with Josh Todd from Buckcherry, who is this week's guest, was recorded before the election. So when you're listening to it, there's obviously not going to be any talk about the outcome of the election or whatever because it hadn't happened yet. So download the episode. There'll be sit rep for you in the morning so you can get filled in on all of your non-election news and everything you need to know. And hopefully next week we will meet right back here in the war room and everything will be okay. I can't promise it, but that's what I'm hoping for. So stay safe, guys. I love you. Thank you all for voting. Good night.